Sky News US Politics Analyst and former Australian Ambassador to the US, Joe Hockey, spoke to US Democratic Congressman Joe Courtney about Tim Walz, the Israel-Gaza war, AUKUS, and of course, the November election.
Congressman Joe Courtney, great to see you. Thank you for your time. Of the three Joes I know that serve in public office, you're the last one standing. Since 2006, you've been an incredible friend of Australia, but also very much a middle ground in Congress. And I've found it increasingly hard to find people in the middle ground. How hard is it? I mean, how hard is it to be part of the middle ground mainstream in a highly fractured Congress?
So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. I mean, if you look at the major votes of this Congress, you know, to keep the government open, avoid default, passing the supplementals, the national security supplementals, there actually was a center-left, center-right coalition in the House of well over 300 votes that sort of pushed those initiatives through, and thank goodness, you know, that happened. The problem is that
there was never any suggestion of shutdown, really, a serious.
No, but I mean, there were in the majority party, which again had, you know, a wafer-thin majority. Yeah. That's where the problem lies, and any speaker, Democrat or Republican, runs into that because it just takes a small group if you're trying to get, you know, the majority party to embrace the bill to bring it down. Unless you go outside, you know, the lane and work with other folks on the other side.
You were saying before, you know, Tim Walz is he's right across that particular area.
So Tim and I came into Congress together. We served 12 years, and he was on the Agriculture Committee the entire 12 years. It's rural Minnesota. I mean, farming is everything out there. I did 4 years. I walked in the first day. First time in 100 years anyone from Connecticut was on the House Agriculture Committee. The chairman from Oklahoma said, "What are you doing?
You haven't got a big agricultural district."
No, but we eat, you know. So and we do have some. But anyway, the chair.
You make subs though.
That we do.
And it's not Subways.
Yes.
It's submarines.
No, that's right. And they eat too.
They do,
I'm on board this. Yeah. In any case, so I got a pretty up close view of Tim on the committee. He was a very active member. And again, while he was there, we passed it in 2014, 2018.
So he's a straight shooter.
He is. And the people out there who are in that world, they know him.
And he was just out in Australia.
He was, 2023, on a trade mission.
Yeah.
Medical device manufacturing is big in Minnesota as well as agriculture. Right. And, you know, actually, I think, you know, the trade agenda, I know, has always been a source of frustration in that part of the world. And Tim is from a high exporting state, so he gets it, and I think, you know, he's going to be a really interesting guy.
Is there a chance we can get the U.S. into the Trans-Pacific Partnership?
I would say that to swallow that big a bite, and you know, obviously President Harris would be in her first term. I'm not sure we'd get that big a movement, but we'd get movement. I really believe that.
I mean, the biggest change in, you know, US attitudes, I think, over the last 10 years has been about free trade agreements. You know, the US used to lead the debate about breaking down trade barriers. And then under Republicans and kept under the Democrats, you know, you see these trade barriers erected again.
Right.
And, you know, the IRA was a big challenge for Australia. And we went through tariffs with Trump and all that sort of thing. But quite frankly, I mean, neither side is saying, hey, we believe in free trade.
No, but again, if you look at the Mexico-Canada-U.S. free trade agreement, again, it was the same center-left, center-right coalition that pushed a 300-plus vote through the House at the end of the day. Nancy Pelosi helped put that bill together, and Labor actually ended up supporting it. And, you know, I think that's something that, you know, people in Australia and the U.S., you know, should really kind of take another look at, because there was, you know, it addressed a lot of the complaints that people had about prior free trade agreements.
Yeah.
And
so there's a window for us to try and convince a Harris administration that we can have win-wins on trade.
I believe that. And, you know, again, it's not clear who her team is going to be. You know, after she gets sworn in. I'm hoping she keeps some continuity, particularly in national security areas there. But foreign policy, I think she's pretty comfortable.
How important is it to get a deal on Gaza, to get for Kamala Harris to take that off?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would diffuse, a lot of the anger that's out there, and certainly in pretty key states. I think that Blinken, again, is doing God's work, trying to go back and forth and between the Gulf states to kind of persuade Hamas to just knock it off and just agree to the deal. And by all accounts, it looks like Netanyahu signed off on it. So, I mean, this is excruciatingly close. And what it would do in terms of, in the U.S. domestically would be, I think a very positive moment for her. And I think for Biden, it would be a legacy moment.
And going forward, there's no diminution in the support for Ukraine against Russia under a Harris administration?
Not at all. I mean, her speeches to NATO are rock solid. And our party, which again, on the Ukraine supplemental, it was unanimous, from our side.
And will she be as focused on China, as a potential threat and the role in the Indo-Pacific?
I think she's visited there a number of times. She's had actually a lot of meetings with Australian prime ministers during her time as vice president. Her, written statements have all been really, I think, solid as far as, AUKUS and the Quad and, all the alliances that the Biden-Harris administration put together. So if you read our platform, which was written before Joe Biden...
It's still got Joe Biden all through it.
It does, but there's a very strong statement for AUKUS there, and nobody from the Harris administration is Xing it out.